Ki hei Maori ora, mihi atu ki a tātou e hui hui mai rā i tēnei rangi. Ka pātai aku whae ki au, ea tēnā hutanga, kaore karanga atu, hei te pai tērā. Ina ori te rangi maari, ko tahitanga i hui hui tātou a tēnā tātou katoa. Mihi atu te tuatahi, te maho hoki o tātou, i ahu mai ngā tupuna ki tēnei wāhi. Mihi atu ki tērā, mihi atu ki a matariki, e ki nei, te tamaiti o papatua nuku o Ranginui. Pērā te tupuna tino tawhito o tātou whenua Aotearoa, aku i te rangi, te pupu o Hauraki. Heke iho ki te maunga taupiri, i ahu mai to tātou tupuna a Paua, a kau mai ki tēnā kuia tau Hakari. Heke iho no a ki tērā tupuna a tukutuku, ana i tēnei rangi mātō wahanga o tātou whakapapa a Paua, e whakatau i a koutou e te whānau i tēnei rangi. Te me nui kare au i pirangi te tapatapa hi a kuwawai ki ngā puhi, me tārawa, kei te mōhi o tātou, e wahanga mo tēnā mo tātou. Mihi atu ki a koe te minita pēni, au pito, ki a koe riana, ko te ngākau mihi atu tō mahi hou, ka pātai atu ki a rongopai, hea tingo te Maori, ana anei tana whakauti, te aka whai ora. Mihi atu ki tērā. Mihi atu anō ki tēnā te whatu ora. Ka pātai atu ki a rongopai. Whatu, tino tawhito tērā. Te ahuatanga o ngā wānanga Maori, te whatukura. Mihi atu ki tērā. Nā reira, tātou katoa e hui hui mai rā. Mihi atu ki te whanaunga ko tā mai tēnei rangi. Ko tai mai tō tātou pāpa i ahu mai Ngāti Mahanga i Whaingaroa, Matua Huti. Ko e te kraua ki rungi ngā ripene o tēnei o tātou kaupapa, ka pāte atu, hea te kaupapa o te whakatau, te whakatau tau whēkau. Ko ine tō tātou pāpa ki roti ngā ripene nei a Huti. Tēnā koe matua, tēnā kūtau Mahanga, o tō tātou karangatanga, e noho ko tahi tātou, me o tātou whanaunga no tonga. Nā reira te mea nui tēnei rangi, ka kite ana te pānui ko tahi haora, ka reo te taro roa o tātou nei kōrero i tēnei rangi. Hoki anō ki a matariki, ki ngā te mātahi o te tauhau. Matariki ai, te tamaiti o papatua nuku o Ranginui. Kai a tātou i ngā tōpito tātou whenua, he kōrero. Me mihi atu ki tērā, taino ki ngā mautere o tātou nei, e ki nei ngā tuakana, mihi atu ki ngā kōrero rā. E te whare e tū mai rā, e te papahoro nei, o tātou tupuna mātua. Maho hoki ngā kōrero, puta noa te Aotearoa, e peni, ana, riana, tātou katoa, tā rawa waka. Kia kaha te puta atu i ngā kōrero tika o ia wāhi o ia wāhi. Te tino raru, nā te pepa a te Pākehā, te kāwanatanga i raru a ia tātou tēnei rangi. Kai te mōhi mātō tātou whakapapa, hei whakatika. Kia kaha o tātou nei, hia tātou nei wawato o tātou tupuna, kei roto o koutou ringa, e te whānau, kei roti a tātou. Huri no tēnā koutou. Mihi atu ki te kanohi ngaro o tātou nei rangatira kua moe. Ana tērā te tuatahi me mihi atu te hongo ora, tō tātou kingi, tū hei tia potatau, te whiro, te tua whitu. Taino ki ia wāhi o Aotearoa, ngā rangatira, ko tumu tērā me ngā rangatira katoa. Mihi atu ki te kanohi ngaro kua moe. Ki tērā te tumuaki o te kingitanga a Anaru, te tumuaki o te hahi rātana, e ngā rangatira katoa kua moe. Koutou te hogo wairo koutou hoki atu, kia matariki ki ngā whetū, mai te mate ki te ora. A piti hono tāte hono koutou kia koutou, tātou te whānau ko tahi e hui mai rā, ka tahi, ka tīmata tēnei kaupapa ka pāho, ki tō tātou whenua o te pāho ki te ao. Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Awa e ira, e nā rima, e Tātou e hui hui mai rā, whakatau mai rā, ki runga tēnei papa o tātou tupuna mātua. Tēnā koutou katoa. Ka huri atu te wahanga i tēnei wā ki tō tātou nei tuakana. O te mau te re tonga tapu. Tēnā koe. Tēnā tātou katoa.
Let us pause in prayer. Tui o dai mo I tāni ti mau whtai at ki a Fiona, ko hi koe pongpong le lei mo whakaofa koen. Tō e vai ke whunga e whonua, whakakato ai e whakatupu ai a Fiona. Loving God, we thank you for bringing us together to this important event. And we thank you for being with us. You are a God of presence, Emmanuel, God among us. We pray as part of seeking, asking, and knocking for your help, for your blessing, and working together with the honorable ministers, members of parliament, leaders in the areas of health, our tangata whenua, community leaders and people who are here with all of us. Thank you for giving us the free will, and thank you for allowing us to have wisdom and knowledge, reflecting your presence and the blessing you have given to the creation in this world, that we are able to look, to search, to analyze, and also to help humanity. And in this case, bowel screening, we thank you for the leadership and the hard work that people, leaders of government, leaders of the ministries of health, experts, and also people who have answered the call and invitation to join and participate, not only to increase our awareness, but give us the opportunity to participate, and not only that, leadership. We pray and ask that you bless this very important event, and may it be a start and a continuation of a blessing for those who are in need, the vulnerables, and all of us who come together to do miracles when we unite in love and in respect and in helping each other, especially those who are vulnerable in our community. We commit this event to you and also to the wise ladies and gentlemen, the ministers, and the leaders, and the tangata whenua, and all of us who are here. In our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Kia ora tātou katoa. Tuatahi mihi atu ana ki ngā kupu I tukuna atu ki te ao wairua. Kia koe pā I whakatū nei te arawhata ki te wāhingaro. Kia tau mai ai te manaakitanga o te rungarawa ki runga I a tātou katoa, o tira ki runga I tā tātou kaupapa mihi atu ana kia koe tēnā koe. Ngāti Pāwa, tēnā koutou, kai oku rangatira. Tēnā koutou I tā koutou whakawāte I a koutou ki tēnei hui. Ko whakamana koutou I tēnei hui, ko whakarangatira koutou I tēnei hui, I tā koutou tainga mai I tēnei wā. Nō reira mihi atu ana ki a koutou. Koutou e whakakanohine I te mana o Ngāti Pāwa ki tēnei pito o tāmaki makaurau. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Hoi anō, kia ora tātou, ngā maunga, ngā awa, koutou, ngā karangatanga o te motu, o tira, o te moana nui a kiwa whānui tonu. Tēnā koutou, nau mai, haere mai, ki tēnei kaupapa nui, tai ore ore, nui, whakaharahara, mo te hauara o tātou katoa. Ko Scotty Morrison tōku ingoa, no roto rua hau, no te waka o te arawa. Anei, e mihi atu nei, kia koutou. My name's Scotty Morrison. It's an honour to be here with you all today to share this wonderful kaupapa and also to share the stage with my friend here. This is Nemai. Nemai, tēnā koe.
Vinaka Vakalewa Scotty. Nevango Nemai Budanga. My name is Nemai Budango. I hail from the second largest island in Fiji, Vanua level. I'm a mother to 3 sons, grandmother to 3 grandsons and a granddaughter, and I've been a radio host for almost 2 decades. Vinaka. All right, and let's just get down to business. Please feel free to social distance and wear a mask to keep yourself and those around you safe. Hand sanitizers and masks are available.
Now, your bathrooms are located at the back of the room to the left. Now, obviously, this is a hui hauora. It's a health kaupapa, so obviously there'll be no smoking or vaping inside the building or even outside the building, I suspect. In case of an emergency, exits are located at the front near the piano. The main door where everyone entered and the wooden doors at the very back of the building. So you just follow either the deck area or follow people who know where they're going to the assembly area. And kai will be served a little bit later on out the doors there and to the right, where Howie Morrison Jr. is preparing himself to sing to us later on. Alrighty, ko rangatira tā tātou hui e te tainga mai o enei manuhiri mananui ki Wainganui a tātou. We are privileged to have with us today some esteemed guests. Honourable Penny Henare, the Honourable Opito William Seal, the CEO of the Maori Health Authority Te Aka Whaiora, and a great guest on Marae on Sunday just gone, Rihanna Manuel. Stephanie Chapman, Program Director of the National Bowel Screening Program, and Dr. Susan Perry, who's the Clinical Lead of the National Bowel Screening Program. And there will be some other guests here from the ministry today who will receive these lovely lei in acknowledgement of your presence and you being here to support this wonderful kaupapa today. So tēnā koutou katoa kei oku rangatira. Nā, ko te kai kōrero tuatahi I te rāne ko Honore Penny Henare, and I must say, when he walked through the door earlier on and I greeted him, his eyes glanced out onto the golf course. And I said, you're not here for golf, you've got a kaupapa to do, Minister. So Penny is the Member of Parliament for Tāmaki Makaurau and is of Ngāti Hine and Ngāpuhi descent, and we'll claim him as a te arawa as well. He is the Minister of Defence and Minister for Whānau Ora, as well as Associate Minister of Health, that's Māori Health, Associate Minister of Housing, that's Māori Housing, and Associate Minister of Tourism. How do you keep up with all of this stuff, e hoa? Prior to politics, Penny worked as a businessman, a broadcaster, and a teacher. E kare mā homai te paki nui tai ore ore. Tō tātou minita, Honourable Penny Henare.
Kia ora anō tātou katoa. Tautoko atu ana I ngā kōrero e te tuakana e Scotty kia Ngāti Paua, Ngāti Paua ki tai, Ngāti Paua ki uta. E mihi atu ana kia koutou e oku rangatira I whakahonore nei, I whakatau mai nei I tō tātou kaupapa ki runga I tō koutou whenua e mihi atu ana. Kāti kia tātou katoa e oku rangatira, huri noa tēnā koutou. E tautoko atu ana I ngā mihi ki wō tātou mate. Ana ki te āhuatanga, ki te tumuaki, ana ka tāpai ake ko te matenga o te whaia riri peti, ki roto o papakura marae I tēnei wā tonu, ana ko tahi tonu te kōrero mo te hunga kua riro ki te pō, haere mai haere, whakahokia mai ngā rārangi kōrero kia tātou te hunga ora tēnā koutou. Greetings, everybody. You're right, golf was on the mind, actually. But we're here to talk about something else, something really important. Can I first start by, of course, saying a big thank you to each and every one of you. I know that there are challenges in our health sector at the moment, and many of you are our ringa raupa. You're our hard-working kaimahi at the front line for everything that we do in our communities with respect to health. And I want to acknowledge you. I've seen already a few very familiar faces in the room here, and I know the challenge that's not just come because of the COVID-19 pandemic, but of course because of te mate fru, the flu that's hitting our communities at the moment, and of course just the stress on our health system. So I want to acknowledge each and every one of you before I continue to our kaupapa today. Now to our kaupapa. It's a pleasure to be joined here with my colleague, the Honourable Opito Sua William Seal, of course my parliamentary colleague Shannon Halbert, and esteemed guests here today. It's important because it's personal. For each and every one of us, it is important because it's personal. I've already said this story before, and we were lucky due to our privilege that my father was diagnosed with bowel cancer before he turned 60. We were only lucky to catch it because of our privilege. Sadly, that is not the case for our whānau, wherever they might be in this country. So this is a personal crusade for many in this room, and of course I join you on that crusade to make sure that health in all its shapes, forms and guises is accessible to our people. So it is a huge honour and a huge privilege to be here to take part in this bowel screening kaupapa. The successful bowel screening pilot began here in Waitemata back in 2011 and ran to December 2017. So it's only fitting that we come back here. I know some of you were like, hey, going over to the shore? Well, now you know why. Yeah. Now you know why the kaupapa started here, and it's only right we come back here to Waitemata. So it's on that note, of course, I acknowledge Ngāti Paua, our whanaunga here in Te Raki Pai Whenua, for supporting this kaupapa and, of course, keeping us all safe here today. What we know is targeted campaigns like this are crucial to our journey towards the pai ora, or well-being that we all aspire to. They empower whānau and communities with information to help keep themselves safe. They alleviate anxiety caused by the fear of the unknown. And they can be a source of encouragement for whānau during times of significant distress. They do all this through connecting in a way that our people understand the most. What we know, though, is that more than 1,200 deaths a year occur in this country. Aotearoa has one of the highest rates of colorectal cancer in the world. Bowel screening is a proven intervention that detects cancer early and leads to better health outcomes for our people. People are diagnosed with early stage bowel cancer and who receive treatment early, we know have a 90% chance of long-term survival. And so, the benefits of a targeted campaign that reaches deep into our communities is a must, not a nice to have. The campaign we are launching today has been developed in a way that reflects Maori and Pacific peoples. It's engaging, it's thought-provoking, it's working, and it's innovative. It reflects our colour, our vibrancy, our values, and of course, most of all, our wicked sense of humour. It delivers an important message through waiata, a language that cuts across all cultures and is particular to Te Moana Nui a Kiwa. So I want to acknowledge Puhi Moana Ariki Collective, the Campaign Advisory Group, and the Manatū Hauora Māori, our Manatū Hauora team for co-developing such a beautiful campaign. And to the rest of you who are experiencing the campaign material for the first time today, I say to you, good luck in getting the jingle out of your head. But I do want to acknowledge you, and I see all the whānau here from Te Arawa Waka. I walked in here and thought, phew, you fellas are back to claim tāmaki again, eh? Hey, not on my watch. Anyway, tēnā koutou. Uncle Trevor ma, kia ora, tēnā koutou. So this launch not only demonstrates the significant mahi that has gone into developing this campaign, but the passion and dedication of all those involved in delivering Aotearoa's first national bowel screening program. This includes our bowel screening kaimahi, champions and whānau, clinicians, general practice, the testing laboratories, the National Coordination Centre, National Bowel Screening Program, Kaimahi, and so many others. The campaign follows the completion of the rollout of the National Bowel Screening Program to all regions across Aotearoa in May. Bowel screening is now available to approximately 835,000 eligible New Zealanders, aged 60 to 74. Screening is free and offered every 2 years. Since the rollout began in July 2017, the National Bowel Screening Program has sent out more than 1 million home test kits and detected cancers in around 1,400 New Zealanders. It has also identified and removed thousands of polyps, which, if left untreated, can become cancerous over time. And of course, thanks to Budget 2022, the age eligibility for Maori and Pacific peoples participating in the program will be lowered next year to 50 years of age. There's a note in my speech here that I'm some way off 50, but nonetheless, it's a good outcome for our people. This is important because what we know is it affects our people sooner. So therefore, Waikato and Tairāwhiti will pilot the lower age range later this year, followed by a staggered rollout across the motu in the coming year. As each region has introduced bowel screening, it has run its own local promotional campaign, tailoring its messages to its own communities. This national campaign, which we're here for today, builds on that strong foundation and embeds in the public mind that free bowel screening is now available nationwide and encourages our people's participation. This campaign has a particular focus on encouraging our whānau Māori and our Pacific Ainga to take part because the participation rates amongst our people are so low. It seeks to be accessible also to tangata whaikaha, our disabled people, who have provided invaluable input to this campaign's development. The research undertaken as part of the development of the campaign highlighted a number of barriers to bowel screening for our people. Some participants said they didn't know that much about bowel cancer, or bowel screening for that matter. Some people said they were put off by the way the test is done, and others said they had a fear of finding out that they were sick. During the co-design and research, many people spoke about how cancer and bowel cancer has affected themselves or the loved ones. They said it was important to openly discuss bowel cancer and bowel screening so that people are encouraged to do so and encouraged to test. Feedback from the research and testing was to use real people, not actors, not reports, but real people, to involve our whānau and to not be afraid and to do it through our wicked sense of humour. When asked what would encourage them to take part in bowel screening, whānau said, make sure the information is available in different languages and emphasise that it's free, easy, and ka mahia ki te kāinga, and that you can do it at home. And so Puhi Moana Ariki Collective have taken that call. They've taken the critical insights and feedback and used them to create what I would call a masterpiece, and I thank you all. In conclusion, shortly we will get a chance to witness the premiere. I don't get invited to the other premieres, but now it's a pleasure to invite you all to this premiere. Scotty didn't invite me to the Te Reo Māori Lion King, but nonetheless. Shortly we'll be a witness to what I think is a masterpiece. The commercial's message will also be reflected in radio, print, social media and educational resources for our people. And there will be live music, of course, a little bit later on. So thank you again for joining us today, but more importantly, thank you all for the work that you are yet to do. Today is a start. The future looks a lot brighter with everybody in this room working together for pai ora, what our people aspire to. Nō reira kānui tēnei māku, e oku rangatira, Ngāti Paua, e ngā mātua, tēnā koutou, e te tuakana Scotty, kōruatahi, kia ora tātou.
Vinaka Vakalevu, Honourable Henare. Honourable Opita Williams-Sears is the Minister for Pacific Peoples and Minister for Courts. He's also the Associate Minister of Foreign Affairs, Associate Minister of Education, Pacific Peoples, Associate Minister of Justice and Associate Minister of Health, Pacific Peoples. Born in Samoa and educated in New Zealand, Opita is a bilingual speaker, fluent in Samoan and English. Peter William Seo's passionate about advocating for diversity and the needs of Pacific peoples. Honourable Peter William Seo.
Manatu e whawhtai atu Ngāti Pawa, whawhtai le whawhelo I o mātou nei tai o fou, whawhtai mo le momolinga mai o lo alofa, a wāle ngā luenga le whionga I ministai a Penny Henare, I whapefoi I a lok tangata. Whawhtai, Reverend Tevita, I'm always reluctant to leave the safety of Southside. And I probably was one of those who asked, hey, why North Shore? But when I saw the names of the iwi that were here, saw the name of Reverend Tevita, I felt confident that I would be protected in North Shore. But I also saw my friend Shannon, the MP for North Shore, and very, very grateful to be here, grateful to support the work that Minister Penny Henare and I continue to advocate strongly for throughout our health system. I too want to add my acknowledgements and my thanks. This is work that began some years back, and there'll be a number of people who are in this audience, clinicians and others, who have day in, day out been championing this work. And both Māori, but also want to acknowledge the Pacific network team in the health sector, Laua Whionga Tofi Lau, who chairs that committee. Thank you. We're going to need to continue supporting that network here. Rihanna and your colleague Margie, we're just going to give it to you. You're it. But Penny Henare has outlined the statistics, which we in the Maori and Pacific will know only too well. We live it, we breathe it, we see it. I've attended a number of funerals when the age is announced. I'm often wondering why. Many of these deaths and illnesses are preventable. Now, I'm not pointing the finger, but there are reports after reports after reports that highlight that for Māori, bad. For Pacifica, particularly in this kaupapa, bowel cancer, we are at the bottom of lack of participation. And so I'm hopeful that with the presence, Reverend Tevita, Reverend Ron Lawese, Laua Whionga Tawhai, Whakaroloma, Whiaki, and many of our elders here, we're passing the baton to you to promote that message. Bowel screening is free, it is safe, and you can do it in your home. I did say to the officials, this speech seems to be like the speech from the throne. But my officials said, please, Minister, don't do that. But I'm thinking, how else do we make ourselves comfortable to talk about things which are uncomfortable? So, Reverend Tevita, I hope you've done your test. Oh, good. Ron, I don't want to reveal your age, but I hope you've done your test. We do need to be comfortable about it, because it's about saving lives. And I want to acknowledge the collective comms team and my friends at Bright Sunday who put this together. I feel bad because I'm blocking some famous faces of movie stars whom you will get to see. Our people, those who look like us, those who sound like us, those who laugh like us, those who are bright and colourful and beautiful like us. You'll get to see them on the screen. And this is about trying to convey the message. We all must work together. We all must acknowledge our values as peoples of Moana Pacifica, come together as a family and talk about these things. I involved my 24-year-old daughter. I've asked her, why don't you come in and take the sample? These are uncomfortable things, but we must ensure, and hopefully our sense of humour, hopefully recognising that a lot more videos will come out in our own languages. We know it was our languages, it was understanding our cultural world, understanding the context of how we live our lives. That's what kept us safe in the last 2 years, and particularly with our providers on the ground. To you, Tofilao and the Pacific Network Cross, I know the team is smaller. Rihanna and Margie, please grow those teams fast. Our role here as ministers of the government is to make sure that we are resourcing and supporting you, making sure that the resources that you currently have is making an impact, because the driving force or the motivating force for the reform is the inequities. The inequities that Maori, the inequities that Pacifica, the inequities that peoples with disabilities, the inequities of people living in isolated rural areas. That's what we're trying to address here. And the lowering of the age is something our providers have advocated for such a long time for. We're pleased that we're in this space to be able to advance that as quickly as possible. So without further ado, I'll just pass the time over to you, Scotty. I felt like turn the screen on, turn the song on. Now, I've seen the video, and I just want to say, when the main actor is holding something up, please don't imagine that going up inside your body. It doesn't.
We're here to show for it. Dr. Perry attended a meeting way back in 1998 that first looked at developing a national bowel screening program for our country. New Zealand has one of the highest rates of bowel cancer in the world, and seeing advanced cancers day after day was unacceptable to doctors like Susan and her husband, Professor Brian Perry, a colorectal rectal surgeon. But many years would pass and many more meetings before that much needed program began to take shape. Then there was a 6-year pilot here in Waitemata and a national rollout that took the best part of 5 years. Now, thanks to the passion of Dr. Perry and a dedicated team throughout Aotearoa, we have a national bowel screening program, and it's saving lives every day. Dr. Susan Perry.
Actually, I've got tears in my eyes to hear that. Thank you. Kia ora and warm Pacific greetings. I was not expecting to be asked to speak today. And given the number of illustrious attendees and speakers that have gone before me, I think I'll just walk off now. I don't think I can match your language introductions. I don't think I can match your humour. But, you know, when I was thinking about should I speak today, should I accept the invitation, given everybody else that was here, it was explained to me that they were going to... They're already playing the song, you know. I haven't even started talking. I've got to go, you know. But it was explained to me that we were launching the waka of bowel screening, and that I had to speak because I represented the past or the rear or the te rapa of the waka. And that was helpful to me because my involvement in bowel screening did begin 2 decades ago, and a number of things beyond my grey hair attest to that, chiefly the ages of my older son and younger daughter, who are sitting over there, and the fact that when I started this work, I had only been married to my husband for 15 years or so, And next week, or next month, we celebrate being married 40 years. So I want to take this juncture to thank my wonderfully supportive husband, who has also been a colorectal surgeon, academic colorectal surgeon, fighting for quality for all in the treatment of bowel cancer. Thank you, darling. So why did I decide to speak today? Because if I had not taken up the challenge of chairing that first working party, and believe you me, when they asked me, I said, no, I'm not right for that, I'm not good enough, I'm passionate about bowel screening, but no, go and ask somebody else. You know, I just don't think I'm up to it. I was young, I was a mother, I was a gastroenterologist working part-time at Counties Manukau, I was busy, you know, but I was passionate about bowel cancer, and they kept needling away. I thought, yeah, I need to do it. And the reason, and I did that, I accepted the offer to chair that committee, and it's led to all this subsequently. And therefore, the reason I accepted this speech, the ability to speak today, was because I had the opportunity to acknowledge the wonderful work of all you people in the room, and the privilege I have had of working with you all to bring this to fruition. And so therefore that was a privilege too great to deny, and to a privilege that I could not deny, acknowledging the contribution you had all make. So if you've not realised it yet, those of us in bowel screening are actually incredibly passionate and committed. And I want to tell you why. Because as a gastroenterologist working for all those years in Counties Manukau, yes, I was a dab hand with a colonoscope. Yes, I could diagnose bowel cancer. But then when all the staging tests were completed, I had the job of talking to my wonderful Maori and Pacific and other patients and telling them that their bowel cancer was advanced and that a cure was unlikely. When you do that lots of times, you begin to realize that things have to change. And when bowel screening, the evidence started to show that bowel screening will save lives, I ran towards the opportunity to do something different. I love being a doctor. I love being at the coalface. I love being a gastroenterologist. But I knew I had to leave that coalface or reduce that commitment in order to do something more to reduce the toll that bowel cancer was taking on people. And people often say to me, Susan, why does bowel cancer present as such an advanced disease? Well, how does that happen? Well, the issue is that the gut has only got so many ways it can tell you it's not working. I won't describe all of those ways in this room for obvious reasons, and please feel free not to demonstrate. But we can feel bloated. We can get a change in bowel habit. We might have gut rot from eating something funny the night before, or we might have bowel cancer. And it's very tricky to distinguish the symptoms. And the bowel's quite a big organ, and cancer can grow to quite big before it causes any symptoms. And that's why bowel cancer is often advanced when it presents. And the only way that we can pick it up early, the best way in the world to pick it up early, is bowel screening. And that's why I'm here, and that's why all these people have engaged in this work. Now, I have to say that the task of launching the waka of bowel screening initially seemed impossible. You know, you you need to choose the right tree, you need to bring it to the place where it's going to be carved, and they need a lot of people to push it in the water. And the working group in 1998 published that report, and I want to acknowledge Dr. John McNenaman. He's here today, and there he is over there. John is still our GP lead for the program. So John, thank you for your commitment. I can't mention everybody, and I can say it was a very, very tough task to get that waka on the water. I can't tell you. You know, you have to try everything. Anyway, we finally had a working party in 2006, and we said we need to do a pilot. And at that point, we involved Professor Ian Bissett and Ashley Bloomfield, and we finally agreed that we need to get the waka in water. But it took a little while till we had the pilot here in Waitemata. The team have already been acknowledged, yes, and I want to acknowledge the whole team here. You did a fantastic job and allowed us to plan that bowel screening program. So Gay and Sandra Skipworth, everybody, you know you are, Paul, Mike, Debbie Holsworth, all the people. Paul Frankish and the people at the ministry, Vari Porteous and Deborah Woodley, thank you, thank you, thank you. Of course, that pilot 4 years moved to 6 years in keeping with a tough deal. And to start off with, in the pilot, we were just hugging the shore a bit in the waka. And then we finally got ourselves ready to launch onto the ocean. Okay, so we're launching in 2017. We're on. I can tell you there have been a lot of storms. It's never been smooth sailing. But the God of the sea and the sky and the ocean was with us. And we have finally arrived. And I want to say that some people just joined the waka for a little period and then left. But you know, every single person that got on the waka of bowel screening made a significant contribution. You didn't need to be there for 20 years like me. I can't do what all of you done. We did it together. And sometimes when you're tired and you just want to give up because you're cold and you're wet and there's another storm, in comes somebody like Anna Kenner, appointed as a comms manager, who lifted us up from rock bottom and said we were actually trying to do a good thing. Because when you're getting a lot of criticism, as the ministers know, when you're getting a lot of criticism, you begin to wonder, are you doing the right thing? But we carried on, and we did it. And we're here today, and we're at the start. And we're at the start of another journey, but we are already saving lives. As has been pointed out today, we've detected over 1,400 cancers. A third of them are that early stage when people are going to live. They're going to be cured. But you know, you think we're there, we've arrived, but as has been pointed out, what do we need now? We haven't got equitable participation. After lots of effort, we have finally lowered the age range because we need equitable programs. As a gastroenterologist, it's no comfort to me if we're only benefiting one part of the community at all. And the work to launch bowel screening, it's involved so many people in the hospitals and in various places, but particularly the Maori and Pacific networks. You've done a fantastic job. So to the presidents of those bodies, to Topher, to Toa, to Sarah, to so many of you, thank you for what you have done. But then we don't have equitable participation. So on this last part of the journey, who do we need? We need a fantastic national campaign. And on arrives Anna and Lizzie. Lizzie takes it on. We get this fantastic group called Puimoana Ariki, and they blow us away. We've had a wonderful partnership and working relationship, and it's been a real privilege. And what you see soon will attest to this. Ngā mihi nui, Inia, Rob, Stella, Sam, Rongapai, and all those involved, and Honey for being such a wonderful centerpiece, and the other actors that take part in this advertisement that you are now busting to see. And I just want to say thank you for tolerating my talk, the interlude between illustrious speakers and an illustrious video. Tēnā koutou katoa.
Well, fantastic speakers today. Minister Henare, Minister Seal, and Dr. Susan Perry, tēnā koutou katoa. Penny, if you're disappointed that I didn't invite you to the premiere of The Lion King, you're going to even be more disappointed when I tell you I went to the premiere of Thor last night. And actually in the movie, Thor says, get me a team together, I need a team, bring me the Hulk, bring me Iron Man, and then he says, bring me two mātauenga. So awesome. Hoi anō, kua tai ki te wā e rongo kōrara wai tātou i a Puhi Moana Ariki. We're about to hear from the Creative Director of Puhi Moana Ariki, Inia Maxwell, and Strategy Lead Amatai Levi Stella Muller. So Puhi Moana Ariki is a collective of 3 Aotearoa-owned agencies, Rotorua and Wellington-based Maori agency Wawata Creative, Pacific agency Bright Sunday, headquartered in South Auckland, and the Media Lab in Wellington. The National Bowel Screening Campaign is the first for the newly formed collective and an opportunity to provide a true Maori, Pacific and local solution by working together to achieve better outcomes for our people. To share their behind-the-scenes story, would you please welcome the Puhi Moana Ariki Collective Creative Director, Mr. Inia Maxwell, and Strategy Lead Amatai Levi Stella Muller. Homai te paki.
Ole asole nei na whaialea li'i tātou te oli ma whiawhia I ai. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. On behalf of the Puhi Moana Ariki Collective, I'm incredibly humbled to have the opportunity to speak with Inia about our behind-the-scenes journey. The ministers and Dr. Parry have done a great job outlining the background and the context of this campaign. So where I'd like to pick up the story, following on from Susan's story, is that we've landed here, to launch the campaign. So what was the thinking behind it? Our job when we were brought on to do this was to launch a national campaign to complement the amazing work that our DHBs, I know that's probably not what they're called now, but what they've been doing over the years to complement that work. So we needed to start, if we truly have an intention to reduce those cancer and increase the screening rates, the first job is to increase awareness, increase people's intention of doing the screening. What we did as a collective is we embarked on this co-design phase. We went out and we engaged with our advisory groups, which the minister has acknowledged. We advised with our communications representatives in the DHBs. We also connected with and had talanoa and hui with our mātua, our eligible audiences, and we also engaged a piece of research which the minister has outlined. And what we boiled down from that process of co-design was that, do you know what, our elders, they're living their best life. They don't want to be portrayed as people that are ready to go to heaven. These are people that They want to be portrayed as people living their best life, on top of their health. And that was something that was really clear to them. And yes, although the topic is, in some senses, taboo, there was a real desire for them to normalize these conversations, as the minister and Dr. Parry had talked about. So those were some key things that they talked about. But what we did was that we did boil down to 3 key insights. The first one was that we need to shift perception that bowel screening is just a diagnostic tool to an opportunity to detect early signs and to take the action to prevent it. We also needed to shift perceptions that, misconceptions that the screening is a bit gross or whatever. And in particular for our Pacific audiences, we needed to help them to understand that it's easy, it's free, and you can do it from home. Because this is the screening test that you can do from home. The second part of the key insights was that we needed to deepen knowledge and increase people's understanding of what the screening is about. So that's a key part that came out in the research. And then the final insight was that we need to increase personal relevance, that this is something that I need to do. And this is all about that behavior change around social norms. So we then landed on our strategy. And we've aligned our strategy to develop a campaign over this next 6 months, which is broken up into 3 phases. The first phase, to speak into this insight around shifting perceptions, is a mass media campaign that we want to turn on through TV, through radio, through digital ads, and shortly Inia is going to talk to you about the creative around that. And this is important to really dial up the awareness and to complement the conversations that the DHBs are having. That will run over the next 6 months. Then in 6 weeks' time, we're going to introduce our education layer of the campaign. And that is to help our audiences to understand how to do the bowel screening test. And in this phase, we will launch our explainer videos of how to do the screening. And I'm so proud that Te Whatuora has supported us to be able to make these videos in 11 languages, English, Te Reo, and our 9 Pacific languages. To complement that, we also have the All About Bowel Screening brochures, the full one, being translated in the 11 languages. And so the education phases will be a real intensive education rollout, which will also be complemented with digital content. And that will run for another 6 weeks. And then the final phase, as we build into summer, is our social norms work, which is about elevating the voices of our champions. And can I just acknowledge our champions in the room today, in particular Mr. Afiaki, who's joined us today, and our bowel screening champions. We really want to honour the work that you've already begun to advocate in your communities. And so in that final phase, we're going to collectively, nationwide, elevate their stories through digital media and through local events. We're also looking to run a bowel screening week in the GP and primary care settings. And can I say, on that note, before I hand it over to Inia, one of the things that really did come out really clearly for our audiences is the importance of those conversations with our GPs and our doctors. They are credible voices that really influence our people to make the connections, to connect the dots. So I just want to honour all our doctors and our primary care people in this room. So on that note, I'm going to hand it over to Inia. Once we wrote the strategy, it was like, Inia, okay, we've got our creative brief now. Your job is to encourage and motivate our eligible Maori and Pacific audiences to do the test. And we want you to position this test as something that they can feel joyful about. We specifically underscore that word, joyful. We want to position this as something that they're going to get excited about. So at this point, I would like to introduce Inia. And I just want to honour Inia for his leadership, for his courage, for pushing the boundaries on this. Let's give him a paki paki.
Kia ora tātou katoa, nei ra te mihi maiwaha, he mihi aroha kia koutou katoa, ngā rangatira, Ngāti Paua, tātou katoa. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, kia ora tātou katoa. Cool. Kōrero sister, there's Stella, gave you the breakdown of the strategy. So I got given the fun part, which was gathering all of those insights from our people, from our networks, from our aunties, from our uncles, from the people that we have our cup of teas with. And there was some interesting stuff that came out of that, because some of the assumptions we had were blown out of the water, thinking that talking about tiko and all of those sort of things is tapu. But no, I think we had, so I won't repeat some of the comments that I had from our kaumātua about that, but they more or less said it's mine, it's, you know, I can deal with my own beep. So that was a real good insight for me, because it allowed me to push the boundaries and say, look, let's get that humour, let's get that funny thing going on, because let's face it, people, when we're amongst whānau, there's not too much that we won't talk about, if you know what I mean. But so we took that and we tried to think, how are we going to do this so that we can involve all of our people and we see a celebration of sorts. So we thought, let's come up with a birthday. At the time it was still on the 60th. We've actually done another cut with the 50th candle as well, for when that changes to 50. Forward thinking. Yep. And great to hear that it's going to be launched or rolled out in Waikato and Te Tairāwhiti, so we're really happy about that. But because of birthday, there's no tokenistic sort of things with the birthday, because at the age of 60, you've got a whole lot of friends, you know, and friends from every walk of life. So it didn't, okay, we'll stick in the token Asian, we'll stick in the token Kazi over here. So it was a good excuse for us to have a hui. And I thought, okay, hui, well, the creativity comes out of our people. And coming together actually represented the name that we took as a collective, which is Puhi Moana Ariki, which is the bottom row of feathers that adorn our waka, and they're the closest to the water. So we thought that that represented us quite well, that we're in touch and close to our people. So we had a bit of a wānanga and a bit of a kōrero before we started the day with everyone. And I spoke to them about the kaupapa and how big it was. And as Stella said, you know, living their best life, the energy was just amazing between our people. We had you'll see the poster, he's definitely got another form of energy in the video, but just to see us coming together because there's shared whakapapa that we have in the Pacific. So that's what we did as a collective, is made sure that we honoured each other and our cultures, and that we were respectful of how we move forward together. So thank you, Susan, for your waka analogy. Also just want to thank the Ministry of Health and our CAG as well, because we wouldn't be here if they didn't believe in the pitch that we gave. And to be honest, we did that pitch our way. And so it's pretty special for us. We sort of pitched just to see if we could get to the next round. And then next minute we're shortlisted, and then you've got it. So I just want to thank Lizzie, Anna, Susan, Kathy for the tautoko, because we came in as a collective, but then we adopted some whānau too over here who helped us do our mahi. And to be honest, you know, with all the loops that you have to go through, the trust that they had in us of what we were putting forward, they totally believed in us. So we couldn't have done it without their awhi. To our CAG, Tofi Lau and Jacob, thank you also for your tautoko and the CAG. But creatively I had a whole lot of fun. One thing before I go, as I say, a shared sort of creativity. You know, we're thinking about, okay, music-wise, what's going to get our people? You know, okay, 60-ish. And then Stella said, your uncle Hal in the quartet? Well, and I said, yeah, that's right. And then a song came to mind, and it was called There's a Meeting Here Tonight, because I was fortunate enough to be on tour with my uncle, and I watched him do this show over and over again. So I went down this route, and this is the result. Changed the words a bit slightly, some bespoke words for our things, but that's enough from me creatively. All I can say is that I thoroughly enjoyed this project, and very thankful for the belief and tautoko in us going down this pathway, And you're right, e hoa. I think it's going to be an earworm for everybody. You'll be humming the tune out the door. Nō reira, koutou mā, tēnā koutou, kia ora tātou katoa.
Vinaka Vakalevu Inia K. Stella. All right, you know what, family? We've heard so much about the wānanga and the kōrero. Now it's time to hear the waiata. Okay. All right, so are we ready? Yes. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let's fix our eyes on the two screens.
Happy birthday, mate.
It's your bowel screening test. I've done mine.
Me too! And it's free! Uso, you've got this!
There's a screening here tonight. Pull the stick from the text, put it in the poo. Just follow the pictures, it's easy to do.
Koro, you can poo it!
Don't delay or procrastinate. Put it in the post, send it away. Early detection can save the day. There's a screening here
Another play there, but obviously no. Okay. Just after time. Okay, hoi anō. He koha nui whakaharahara kei te haere ake e te iwi. We have a gift for the National Bowel Screening Program to acknowledge the past, the present, and the future of those that have dedicated their time and expertise to develop and deliver the National Bowel Screening Program. Now, the carving that we have is a representation of their ongoing commitment to saving lives. This piece was carved by James Te Taonui a Kupe Rickard. He was part of the first carving school intake in Rotorua in 1967 at the New Zealand Maori Arts and Crafts Institute. Today, he is one of the most highly regarded master carvers in Aotearoa and has travelled the globe sharing our traditional Maori art form. So we've got a short video from James explaining his creative process in delivering this carving.
Kia ora, my name is Te Taonui a Kupe Rickard. Come from Whaingaro. And I've been asked to do a taonga based around bowel screening. And I guess when you talk about bowel screening, I guess a lot of our people have died from it without knowing. Now they have ways of finding out early, and that can be the cure. I guess when you talk about bowel screening, so I always look at the puku as being the ngākau, because all your immunity is in your stomach. Started off designing a kumete that's shaped like the puku, and then into it I put a spiral nature of your intestines. And then I decided to put little polyps in amongst the design, and then all of a sudden things go haywire, and that's why your whole intestines start clogging up. The bowl is covered with Pakati and Haio. That's about remembering all the people that have died of this disease. And so the whole idea is about looking after our tinana and getting early screening done. I was thinking of kumete because the kumete is a kai. You eat the right type of foods. So we have the kumete as a cultural thing. You know, all the Pacific really belongs to everyone. And if you can do it early, the better. They can treat it then. We get whakama, I guess, because it's private. That's in the old days. Now, you want to save your life? Get a test.
So I'd now like to invite Dr. Susan Perry to receive this beautiful taonga.
Words absolutely fail me. And I think I probably am speechless. I think my husband and children will not have grave difficulty believing that. But on this occasion, I am. And it's not just me, and I hope you don't mind, but I need Anna, Lizzie, Kathy and Steph and Jacob to come up. It's not one person's journey, it's everybody's. Come on. These people have all played critical roles. I wish I could invite everybody who'd done a tiny bit into this, and I'm sorry, Inia, I'd love you to come. I know you don't want to come, and I know all your team, but I wouldn't mind it. But thank you.
Dr. Susan Perry and your colleagues. All right, and now we'll have a small gift that'll be given to each guest, which is a replica of the carved lid in the form of a pin as a token of appreciation for your ongoing support. All right, and that's to everyone who are involved in the Bowel Screening Program and the National Bowel Screening Campaign development. Would love to acknowledge you all. Okay, and if you can please stand. Naka.
All right, I can see my cousin down the back there. He's warmed his voice up. He's dying to get up here and dazzle us with his amazing voice. And of course, you would have seen him on the video there. He's the one that was singing the song. Actually, I've got a story about that song. There's a meeting here tonight, but I won't tell it. It's quite a long story. But it does involve Howie Jr. and Tim Wera and Uncle Howard requiring them to wear suits and look their best. And Howie Jr. forgetting his suit. So he says to Tim, who was in the quartet at the time, "We're the young fellas, so we won't wear our jackets. We'll go on as young fellas, and Uncle Howard and Jerry can wear their suit jackets, and we'll be the young fellas in the quartet without jackets." And Tim says, no. You forgot your jacket. I'm wearing my jacket. You're on your own. And when they used to go out on stage, they'd be singing the song, "There's a meeting here tonight. There's a meeting." And they'd go on one by one. Uncle Howard would be out. Jerry Merito would come out with his jacket on. Tim goes walking out. "There's a meeting here tonight," with his jacket on. And Tim says, I'm thinking to myself, I can't wait till Howie walks out without his jacket on. The look on Uncle Howard's face when his son walks out on stage without a jacket. And there they are singing away. "There's a meeting here tonight. There's a meeting here tonight." And he looks over and waits for Howie to come out, and Howie walks out and he's got a jacket on. It's amazing. But as he gets closer and closer to Tim, Tim looks at what's on the pocket of the jacket and it says, "Security." Howie walks out, "There's a meeting here tonight." He's obviously borrowed it off the security guard. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce this outstanding cousin of mine, and he's a bit of a haututu, but he's the man, and he's here with his brothers, the Howard Morrison Jr. Trio, ladies and gentlemen.
That's what happens when you give a mic to a Morrison. Just introduce the boys. The guy's name's Takere. He's going to be one of the main actors in the next Hobbit movie. And over here we've got the next Tarzan actor, Christopher Powley from Papakura.
Kia ora.
Good evening, good afternoon, you very lucky people.
Screening here tonight. Screening here tonight. Tell by your funny face there's a screening here tonight.
Pull the suit from the test, put it in the boot. Just follow the pictures, it's easy to do. Put it in the bottle, put on the date. Don't delay or procrastinate. Put it in the bowl, send it away. the day. Early detection can save the day. Everybody! There's a screening here tonight, a bowel screening here tonight. I can tell by your funny face there's screening here tonight. Oh yeah. Thank you very much. Good night. Marie, the dawn is breaking. Marie, you'll soon be waking to find your heart is breaking and tears will fall as you recall the moon and all its splendor, the kiss so very tender, the word, will you surrender to me, my sweet Marie? Oh, Marie, sweet Marie, the dawn is breaking, oh Marie, sweet Marie, you'll soon be waiting, just to find your heart is breaking and tears will fall as you recall the moon, sweet Marie, and all its splendor, the kiss, so very tender, the word, will you surrender to me, my sweet Marie? Oh, Marie, sweet Marie, the dawn is breaking. Dawn is breaking, Marie, sweet Marie, you'll soon be waking to find your heart is aching and tears will fall as you recall the moon and all its splendor, your kiss, the kiss so very tender, the word, will you surrender to me, my sweet Marie, my sweet Marie, my sweet Marie. Ah.
The Howard Morrison Jr. Trio e te iwi. Whew, what a great way to end. Kua tai ki te mutunga o tēnei whakarewatanga e hoa. We are now at the end of our launch. So, ka whakahokia te mana me te Māori kia koutou Ngāti Pāwa mā koutou e whakakapi tēnei hui a tātou. Kia tātou tikanga tuku iho. Kai a koutou te kupu whakamutunga. Nō reira Ngāti Pāwa, kai a koutou, tēnā koutou. Kia ora tātou. Kia ora koutou Ngāti Pāwa. Kia ora tātou. So, Kai and Kōrero out the back there e hoa mā. out the back to the right. Thank you all very much for attending. Thank you to our esteemed guests. Thank you hoki to my friend Namai, my friend who helped me do the emceeing today. Tēnā koe e te tuahine. O tira, kia ora hui hui mai tātou katoa. Let's have a kai and a kōrero, and Howie Morrison Jr. and the trio will keep on entertaining us throughout the afternoon. Kia ora tātou.
Well, good.